Okay, so this one's for all my entrepreneurs out there. As an entrepreneur myself, when I get caught up in this idea that if I'm working on a project, then I have to see it all the way through. Like, I don't want to be a flake. I don't want to be, wishy-washy. I want to see something all the way through. However, there's a caveat to this, because if you're showing signs through your research and development that it's not a viable product or it's not a viable service, then you need to be okay with moving on to the next thing. So if you're being pulled to do something else, I think it is important to pay attention to that, especially if the thing that you're working on is showing that it's not yielding the results that you are seeking. Always being tuned in to a possible pivot, I think, is extremely necessary. And so if you are an entrepreneur, if you have onto different projects or products and services, and I understand how you can potentially be hard on yourself, because you're like, well, I start something and then I don't finish it, and then you may get that reputation, like people who know you, your friends or family, was like, oh, they start something and they don't finish it or whatever. I've been there. However, I learned that there's a huge difference between you're not feeling like doing something and then moving on to the next thing, so you actually never get to tend to that seed that you planted. And then another thing where it's like, these seeds are not viable. These seeds are not going to grow. They were not planted in good soil. They were not planted in the right season. These seeds aren't going to do what they need to do. But the way you understand the difference between a seed that's planted in good soil and at the right time compared to a seed that was planted in the wrong place at the wrong time is, what does the data say? I have this thing where I say, you try something 100 times. You send out 100 messages. You speak to 100 people. You do 100 connection calls, whatever the case is. See what that feedback is and iterate as you go. Once you hit 25% of whatever you're doing, see if you need to adjust if you're not getting the response you want. And then do it at 50, 75, and then when you get to 100, by the time you get to the 100, if you're not seeing the results that you need, then think about the pivot. Then that pull that you're feeling, maybe that's time to actually start to scope that plan out. I now move forward with things with if I see something's not working, I just don't hold on to that until it works. Until it's like it has to work. And some people they can do that. They say, I'm like Canva. Like the CEO and founder of Canva, people told her it wasn't going to work or that they weren't interested in it, but she was like, I'm going to keep doing this until it works. So I'm not saying that it cannot happen. I'm talking specifically for if you're feeling pulled to do something else, that is an indicator of a release to be able to do that thing. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense.